Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Bhadram Karnebhihi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyema Akshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangaistushtvagum Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastarkshyo arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati'r dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamas Tuma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, just reading the 10th Karika. Nivrittehe sarva dukkhanam Ishanaf prabhuravyayah Advaitav sarva bhavanam Devasturiyo vibhusmritaha. So in the English translation, being free from all problems, Turiya is considered to be the Lord, capable of freeing oneself from the problems. It is immutable, effulgent, all-pervading, and the non-dual truth of all beings. Now, this is there's a lot inside of that we will look into it. So it's very interesting the way the living being creation is, the creation of the living being is. There was one example that I had read by one of the works of Swami Akhandananda, which was really revealing. You know, sometimes the words used, the examples used, provide a certain amount of clarity. It's not as though you didn't quite understand the whole thing. You did, but it wasn't as locked in as it happens when you happen to really read or to listen to a Mahatma in a particular way. So this is an example of that. I'll tell you what I mean. So what Swami Akhandananda says, listen, look at your life, each one of our lives. What happens is that because of your previous background, shaped by your karmas, by your vasanas, by where you are in the evolution of yourself, based on all of that, you take up a new vehicle as though. Kind of like a car, if you want to just look at the analogy of a car. So you take up a car, and this car lasts you a lifetime. Unlike the human cars that don't last very long, this one is a Daivika car that is designed to last for a period of time. And the Vedas say generally about 100 years. That is the intended life may terminate sooner, may a little bit more if you want, sometimes 100 years. Now, the analogy used by Swamiji was just phenomenal. It really clarified, as I mentioned, to me. What he's saying is that just like you ride a car, you get into a car, and the car is meant for you in terms of transporting you. So it is made up of a number of parts, kind of put together, just for the purpose that it hangs together as a vehicle. And you are sitting in it. Okay, so far, okay. Now comes the important part that really gave me some new insight. Wonderful. It's not as though Swami Dayananda had not told about it. You just didn't grasp it to as much clarity as you did after you've studied it for a while and understood it a little bit better. Okay, so here comes the key thing, which was wonderful. There is a driver of the car. So first of all, there's three things involved. One is you are the owner of the car. So this is what is called Swami. So when you say Swami, Swami means the one who is. So here it says, and if you want to relate it, I'm going to relate it to this particular verse. Ishanaha. And Prabhu. Both of these are the words that pertain to the Swami who's sitting in the car. Okay? Then the second thing is that there is a car. Car means there is some hardware, there's some software, there's GPS, all those kinds of things. So this is a vehicle, the parts of a vehicle. And Swami Vivekananda says very interestingly, he says, now we know from the modern science that the parts are interchangeable. Just like, supposing you blow a tire, then it doesn't mean that the whole thing has to be abandoned. You simply get a new tire, replace it. Similarly, in the body parts, if there's a problem with the heart, you can repair the heart, or you can get a new heart, kidneys, all those kinds of things, repairable parts. This is exactly how it is. Now the important thing is that there is a driver of the car, kind of the manager of the car. You know who that is? That is the I thought. That is you and me. So we are, consider this. This is the viveka that we need to do. This is what we have to really focus our minds on. That there is a driver. And the driver is entrusted with managing the car, making sure that it is free of potholes. If there's some detours that have to be taken, take it. Avoid accidents. Do not get drunk. Be aware of what you're doing. This is exactly what we're doing. I am the driver of my life's car. And as such, I'm entrusted with negotiating the journey of the car. This is who we are. So we have a personality. We have changes. The driver has to have cups of coffee. He's got to go to the bathroom. All of the above. He has to keep track of the gauges of the car to make sure that he's aware there's no problem. So you and I, are the drivers. So Swami Akandananda is so funny, I tell you. He says, this is what is called ahamkara. And he says the ahamkara is the car of the English, of the vehicle. Anyway, ahamkara means the buddhi, the manaha, the person. You and I are a person. And by the way, this person doesn't stay with the car all the time. There's another vehicle and another person during the dream avastha. But leave aside the dream avastha for a minute. If you just look at your waking state, the waking state is the journey of the car with you as the manager, the driver. The problem is, the issue is, you are not the driver. You are the Swami who's sitting in the car. And you don't know it. This is the Maya Shakti. This is the Ajnanam. This is the ignorance. This is what it does. You are unaware of the fact that you are actually not the car, which is a problem, because which sane person believes that he or she is the car? But that's what we happen. So if the body has a problem, I feel I have the problem. So first of all, I have a false identity with the car. Fine. Okay, we understand that. More importantly, I have an identity with the driver. Whatever the driver is doing is affecting me. I don't look upon myself as uninvolved, sitting there doing nothing. If the car is going at 70 miles per hour, I feel I am going at 70 miles per hour. I am not going anywhere. If the driver is perturbed because of a road rage, he gets into an argument and he gets into a problem, I feel I am also affected by the problem. when in fact I am uninvolved as the Swami, as the owner of the whole thing. So keep this is so. What the Shastra points out is that listen, because you ordered the whole thing by taking a birth from from the very beginning of this particular part of the journey. This life is a particular part of the journey. You ordered everything. You ordered the car, a particular type of a car, a healthy car or a defective car, small car, big car, expensive car, cheaper car, all of those kinds of things you did. Not only that, you appointed the driver. So the ahankara is also born. It has been allocated. It has been hired. So you and I, as a person, a moving person, a blinking, talking person, is the hired person for this life, for at least the waking part of this life. And who hired? Unknowingly, you as the Swami hired. And at this point, this is exactly what, supposing, the Maya Shakti, the power of the ignorance is very well contained by looking at the power of alcohol in the mind. So just like you behave, this is why in Shastra it says, please don't avoid alcohol. Do not get drunk. Avoid any drugs. Why? Because your mind gets very affected. You don't know how to think. You don't know how to do discrimination, viveka. And the Maya Shakti is already a very powerful alcohol-like drug. And so the moment you're born, you are already the Swami. You have been the Swami. It has never really, it has never been a time when you were not the Swami. But you keep on ordering new cars and ordering a new driver. And you are under the influence of this alcohol where you cannot have the discrimination that you are in fact different from the car and different from the driver. Different from the driver is the key one, really. Because, if we are so much under the influence of my personality, who I am, what I do, that it is difficult for me to see that I am not that person. I am the owner of the driver. And first of all, I don't even listen. Imagine a talk like this to some new people that don't know anything about Vedanta. What will they say? They'll say, this guy is mad. Lock him up, take him away to a mental hospital. What is he talking about? We never even want to and even after you tell somebody, nobody would tell you that. All right, having in your life, or for whatever reason, you look into Vedanta. And the Shastra says, hey, there's something funny going on that you should know. The ahankara is not you, it is somebody that you hired. And I have a hard time seeing that. I said, really? Eventually, you begin to inquire. So this is what Shravanam really means, is that it's interesting, the word Vedanta, very interesting word. Vedanta means Vedasya Antaha. So here Swami Akhandananda really parses this word very well, I thought. Better than anybody else that I have really seen. He says that in the Shastric literature, the word Anta doesn't mean the end, it means Tatparya, the meaning. So Vedanta means the Tatparya of the Vedas. And the example that he gave, which was really new to me, is what is called Drishtanta. For those of you that know a little bit of Sanskrit, I'll just tell you that. Drishtanta means an example. An example in Sanskrit is called Drishtanta. So the word Drishtanta also consists of Drishta and Anta. Drishtasya Antaha. Shashti Tatpurusha Samasa. Drishtasya Antaha iti Drishtantaha. Similarly, Vedasya Antaha is called Vedanta. And it doesn't mean the end of Vedas, just like in Drishtanta. What is Drishtanta? Drishtanta means something that is conveyed by an example. So that is the essence of the example. That is the tatparya of the example. So this is what is called the lakshyartha. That by the example, you don't get stuck in the example, but you see something that the example is pointing out. Similarly, in Vedanta, it means that the essence of the Vedas, the whole Vedic teaching, the essence of the Vedic teaching is Tattvamasi, is the Mahavakya. That there is no difference between the Paramatma and Jivatma. So what it is saying is basically that please see you are not the driver of your life. You are employing someone as a driver. You are actually the Swami, and it is the same as Paramatma. There's only one Swami. So this is what is called Kevalasya Bhavaha Kaivalyam. Only one Swami. You are that. So then, what is to be done is to be convinced and be clear about the distinction between the owner and the driver. This is what needs to be done. That's it. Here Swami Kandananda gives a beautiful example. He says, it's very interesting. Suppose you realize through the teaching, oh my gosh, you're right. I am uninvolved. And this is a fact. Sakshi is uninvolved. My goodness, I feel like I'm involved. I feel I'm getting affected by things, but really speaking, I should not be thinking that. So you begin to think along those lines. It is like a person who is riding a car at 70 miles per hour. And then you suddenly realize, my God, I need to stop. I don't need to go anywhere. I thought I needed to go someplace, but I don't. I am what I am, and I just want to stop. Swamiji says, do you know something? You cannot stop right away. You're going on a freeway. You've asked the driver, take the fastest route and stay on the left-hand lane and keep going fast. And there's car behind you, cars ahead of you on the either side, one side of it. You cannot stop. What you need to do is stop getting drunk and lose the identity with the driver. Lose the identity with the driver. Tell him, I'm sorry. I want you to slow down. And I want to just sit at some place and I want to do Nididhyasanam. And I want to now disassociate myself with you. Fine. I hired you, you've served me, good or bad, but now I just want to be separate from you. So even in that case, it takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of wisdom to start getting completely disassociated with it. But the very important thing is that you begin to see the difference between, and now I will go back to the topic that I had proposed in the last class and link it to what I'm saying today. The driver, the car, and that whole dynamic is what is called sadhya. Sadhya means I want to go somewhere. I am not happy where I am. And I am now on my way doing things. So, this is something all this teaching, the effectiveness of the teaching is not just academic and bookish. This is not paroksha jnana. What we need to do, and this is what the effective teaching is, and it's a bit harder to do online. It is better if you and I were, I can imagine my effectiveness would be much more if there's maybe 6 or 7 of you sitting around me in a very close environment. Then the communication becomes more effective. But It is what it is. So what we have to do, what I'd like to now to ask you is, please see your life. Isn't it a continuous process of change? And the continuous process of change is what is called sadhana sadhya. How? You evaluate your life at any point in the life. And at any one point in time, you have multiple thoughts that are occurring in your mind. One thought is, I am something, I am somebody, I have a personality. And this personality is a mixture of satisfaction and non-satisfaction. And I want total satisfaction. I am not happy with non-satisfaction. And so therefore, what I need to do is to make a change to diminish the non-satisfaction and increase a sense of well-being. So I'm going to do something. So you evaluate and you're saying, what is it that I need to do? Obvious thing is food, taking care of your body. More than that, then there's emotions. There is a lack of knowledge, lack of friends, security, artha, kama, dharma, all of those kinds of things. But it all manifests itself in wanting change. Thinking that I will get to a point where I won't need to change. So this is what is called sadhya, sadhana sadhya. And their karma is very important there. Because you have to do something. You have to resort to some action. So means it is apraptasya prapti. You don't have it, but you now need to do something, right? Until someone comes along here, Shastra, says, wait. Where are you going? What do you want to do? Say, well, I'm very obvious. My life is this is what is said in Shastra is the life can be termed as bhavasagara. Bhavasagara. Sagara means an ocean. The word ocean is very carefully crafted. Means endless. It's not like you're going to cross a small stream of water and you'll get to the other side. No. You're in the middle of this water with no end in sight. But you have no choice. You have to keep going. This is what is called Bhavasagara. So this is the life of sadhana sadhya. So here the Shastra says, you don't need to do that. Why? So here the sadhya is a combination of the car and the driver. So this was really a very good line of instructions that Swami Vivekananda pointed out. That there are two things involved. One is your physical body and all the instruments, the indriyas. So in Gita also it says like the 5 horses. So the five horses pertain to the five indriyas: seeing, touching, smelling, all those. So with the help of that, you have this physicality that you're dealing with. But then comes, this is the part that I think we need to really think about. Is there's a person managing the whole thing. Who is that person? That is who you consider to be you. I am doing this. I. And amongst all the changes, there is a fixed thing which is I. And I feel that that I is me. That's not you. Because that also is a disposable driver. It is a hired driver. Any hired person can be fired. And very interestingly enough, Ishvara shows it to you every day. You can be fired and you are different from the fired person. But I don't take the hint. So this is why the Mandukya is such an important Upanishad. Because it says, listen, there are some very strong hints from Ishvara. Take those hints. If you were the real you, the Ahankara is the real you, you will never be able to fire the person. See the distinction between a hired person and the person who hires. See it. And it shows that the moment you lie down in bed, you are preparing to fire the person. And you hire a different person during the dream. And you don't need to hire anybody. You just fire everybody during deep sleep. Deep sleep is a very important, in my view, deep sleep is a very interesting, very important phenomenon. Because in the deep sleep, I'm just revising the basic tenets of Mandukya Upanishad, all the Avasthatraya, and distinguishing it from Turiya, which is a Siddha Purusha, which I will come to in a minute. But the deep sleep is very instructional. So here's the thing is that the evidences are all presented to you with proofs, with logic, and all we need to do is to be wise enough to grasp what is being communicated to us. So take a look at this deep sleep. They say really in Vedanta, what needs to be done, what is different between a dukkhi and a sukhi, between a problems of life and lack of problems, is just vichara. It's just some thought. So in the deep sleep, for example, there are two things that we should be very aware of. One is, I don't need to do anything in order to be happy. This is one in thing. I don't need to do anything. Beautiful proof. Because I have a feeling that I need to do things. Sadhya. Sadhana sadhya. I'm going somewhere. I need to go somewhere. I need to change. Deep sleep is a clear example. No, you don't need to do that. We are actually the happiest when we are not doing anything. This is one thing. And this became clear to me when I started really following the teachings of Swami Dayanandji. He was the one who made it very clear to me. It was a very important thing in my life. The second thing, which didn't dawn on me until much later, and I must ascribe Swami Akhandananda to make that very clear to me in his teachings, is this. I feel that I must have some kind of a form, some personality. I need to have that. There is nothing in the world without any personality, if any form. Formlessness is not. Everything has a form. Even Akasha has a form. Even the space has a form. Form in the sense of some presence. Because Akasha also comes around not in deep sleep, but in Jagrat Avastha, in waking state. So it has some kind of a presence. So everything has a presence. And I also must have a presence. I must have a form. I cannot be without form. Deep sleep negates that. This was very important in my life. I'm just telling you about myself. When I started to think about the fact that in fact I can be without form, that was a game changer for me. And again, as I've been saying, see the uniqueness of Vedanta. See the uniqueness in terms of comparison with other schools of thought. You cannot say something without a proof. You cannot postulate something unless you cannot say that wherever there is a smoke, there is a fire. Because you cannot just make statements like that unless you know for a fact that there cannot be a smoke without fire. There can be a fire without smoke, but not a smoke without fire. Black smoke. So Vedanta's uniqueness is that it proves everything that it says. Proves it. It must be based on proof. So Vedanta says you are a Siddha Vastu, already Siddha, not Sadhya. It has to give you a proof. That proof, when I thought about it, it has to be assimilated. This is what is called aparoksha jnanam. that the first thing is paroksha jnana, but then you have to do aparoksha jnana. This became very clear to me that, my goodness, I don't need to be somebody. I am Purna, I am full, I am. Where is the proof for that? Deep sleep. I don't disappear in the same person. And so then it translates into making a viveka between I as a siddhavastu, formless, unaffected Swami, different from myself as a driver, as a manager, a hired person. This is where the drunkenness of Maya slowly goes away. And it doesn't mean that, because now it's kind of like you've hired the person for life. Let him be. You don't need to, this is why what Vedanta teaches is that these Mahatmas, they don't disappear. They don't commit suicide. They don't allow their bodies to they just say, go on, it's okay. But I am distinct from that. It's a very beautiful thing. This is what we all have to aspire to. And so here, going back to, so this is the beginning, that see the difference between sadhya vastu, you can't even call it vastu, but sadhya something, and a siddha vastu. There's only one vastu, which is siddha vastu. Another aspect of this, whether we should appreciate, is that sadhya is, we've already talked about it, but I'm just bringing it in to strengthen and consolidate this aspect of it. The sadhya is kartatantram. Kartatantram means that you're reaching somewhere depends upon who you are and what kind of a driver you are. Right? Kartatantram. Depends upon your ability, your power, your samagri, that you have all the wherewithal that you have. Do you have enough gas? Do you have enough electric charge in your car? All of those kinds of things. So this is what is called kartatantram. But if there is a siddhavastu, the siddhavastu is not kartatantram, it is vastutantram. So the example, even an example, drishtanta, is, let's say, a rose flower. So the rose flower does not depend on who you are, it depends upon what it is. You have to see it exactly as it is. I'm reading a section of the Shvetashvatara Upanishad where this is towards the end of the Upanishad. I'm reviewing it 2 or 3 times. Beautiful. I'm still haven't started teaching on that. I think it's I'm going to, but hasn't started yet. Anyway, so there is a verse called where there is a word used called pachati. So this is pertaining to tatpada, pertaining to God, to Ishvara. So there are some things that the Ishvara does, and some things that you and I as individuals do, and there's a certain distinction of how we do things. What we are is the same, but what we do is slightly different. So one of the things that the Ishvara does is what is called pachati. Very beautiful word. And Swami Khandananda spends a lot of time explaining. Pachati means cooks. But in Sanskrit, the pachati means, there's actually a couple of interpretations. One of them is digestion, is also called pachana. For those of you that know Hindi can relate to that. But here this also means pakka karna, means to solidify it. So this is a very beautiful example. So here, Swamiji says, look, the way Ishvara has created the world is that every distinction is kept separate from each other. It is not all mixed up and become all one. That's not it. He gives an example. He said, suppose you take a seed of a fruit, let's say banana. So what happens is that the fructification of the seed into its final form is called pachanam, means cooking. That means that if you take a banana seed and just simply take care of it, it culminates in a banana which is ripe, which is yellow, which is edible. And you know what a banana's form is. So this is a banana. Now there is an orange seed which may be indistinguishable from a banana seed, but as it evolves, it culminates in becoming an orange. So the final forms of bananas and oranges and other vegetables and fruits and people and so on, there is a final form that has to be seen what it is. Has to be experienced. It has a utility. This is the beauty about the whole creation. There's so many different things, so many different people, so many forms. What I'm saying is this. When you see a banana, you have to see it exactly and understand what a banana is. It doesn't depend upon, you cannot say, oh, I consider this to be an orange. You can't do that. A banana has to be, this is what is called Vastu Tantram. Now, in the case of all of these formful creations of Ishvara, even though they have a final form, see, this is the point that Swami Akhandananda makes. They say that they all have a distinct final forms. Because after a while they start to you keep a banana for too long and it becomes black and loses its flavor. You cannot, it just becomes bad. You have to throw it away. So there is an optimum final form of all of the things in this life, which, by the way, is, so there are partial siddhas. So look at the point. This is the point I'm making. They are siddha vastus. Why? Because everything has a final form. But as the siddha vastu, they are still relatively siddha. They are not absolutely siddha. Relatively siddha means that they deteriorate. They were not siddha at one time, finally they become siddha. But there is one vastu, which is a siddha vastu, which is turiya, that has to be seen as it is. And this is Vastu Tantram. And if and when you see it, you do not ever lose it. Why not? Because that is the nature of the Siddha Vastu. Nature of the Siddha Vastu. It is unchangeable, unchanging. So this Siddha Vastu, called Turiya, has the following, what you might say, characteristics. Right? Characteristics. You cannot say forms because it is formless. So it has certain, you can't even it cannot say qualities like gunas. So when you say qualities, we tend to think about it as things like, is it yellow? Is it big? Is it small? No. But if I say this is all of them, then it is not a form, but it has certain truth to it. And this has to be proven, of course. You cannot just say it is all of the above and walk away without explaining. So this Turiya, the Siddha Vastu, has the following characteristics. One characteristic is, it is Ishanaha, Prabhu. Now we can go back to the words in the mantra. And that is, Ishanaha Prabhu means It is nivrittehi sarva dukkhanam. It has the ability to be free of all problems. All problems. Any kind of a problem. Any kind of a limitation, any kind of a change, any kind of an effect, any kind of a sukha, dukkha, anything. Completely. Nivrittehi sarva dukkhanam. This samarthyam is the Ishana. Dukkha nivritti is the samarthyam. Samarthyam means the ability, the power to be free. Only one vastu in the whole creation. And it is also Prabhu. We went over this last class, so let me revise it and then we'll go further. Prabhu, prakarshena bhuhu. So there we saw that it is not pravaha nityatvam. Please refer to the last class. I'm just revising it. It is swarupa nityatvam. It is not because it is a formful sadhya. It already is Sat Swarupa. So, this is interesting. This goes back to what I was talking about, that I don't realize I don't need to be someone. You see? Look at this. My effort in life is to be someone. And I have everybody has a different image of what they want to be. But I want to be someone. Swami Dhananji was saying that probably if you were to translate that in terms of the common things that people want to be, top of the list, of course, the fact is that I want to be free of death and all of those. Just leave that aside. The most important thing that everybody wants to be is to be significant. No one wants to be insignificant. No one. Everyone wants to be appreciated. So this is perhaps one of the things we want. Anyway, going back to my basic one, we all want to be someone. Okay? What I don't understand is there is a certain significance of just being, not being somebody. So this is what is called Sat Swarupa. And how can we say that? This is where the deep sleep comes in, that you are happiest when you don't need to be someone. You are complete Purnaha Satsvarupaha. So this is what is called Prabhu. So Prabhu means Prakarshena Bhu. Prakarshena Bhu means Bhu is the verb for to be. To be someone. Bhavati iti bhuhu. So this is sadhya vastu. You want to be someone. You want to go somewhere. You want to make a change. You want to be significant. You want to be appreciated. So this is what is called bhu. Prabhu. Prakarshena bhu. Prakarshena means absolutely, not relatively. That can only be if you are Satsvarupa. I don't appreciate that I am Satsvarupa. Satsvarupa means, as we have seen in the last few classes, quite a few classes, you don't need a proof. You don't need to ask anybody, am I there? That's the only thing. You're obvious, so obvious that you don't need any support. Any agreement, any appreciation. You don't. It's your own mind that is that makes you indistinguishable from the driver. You are the Swami. You don't have to go anywhere. You're the one that hired the whole thing. This is called Swarupa Nityatvam, not Pravaha Nityatvam. Prabhu, Sat Swarupam. Then, so there's like 4 things that you are that proves you are a Siddhavastu. Turiyaha, Avyayaha, also called in Bhagavad Gita another one, Aksharaha, Naksharati. Free of Kala, free of time. Avyayaha, Navyayati, Naksharati. How this also we should see. Aparoksha Anubhuti. This is what we have to see. Kala means time, only controls the vehicle that you are riding in. This is why you are young. Your youth is a function of time. I am an adult. Function of time. I am a middle-aged person. Function of time. Defined by time. Intricate, it mixed up with time. But I am. I am aware that I am young. I am aware that I am an adult. I am aware that I'm a middle-aged person. I'm aware that I am sick. Does that get mixed up with time? Time is a function of the whole experience of living, of which is a car and a driver. But you as the Swami is unaffected. There we can say you are a Swami sitting in a car. But here you're not sitting anywhere. You are Satsvarupa Prabhu, independent of time, Avyayaha. And just like you are independent of time, time depends on you. As we will go through, I think I won't be able to complete it. We'll have to go through this in the next class. But let's go on to the other coordinate, Vibhu. So again, there is a prefix, a bhu. First it was Prabhu, here it is Vibhu. Vivikta deshe bhu. So when you say, where are you? So what you do is you discover where you are and you explain your coordinates. I am here. I am not there. Now your coordinates depend upon, again, your body-mind complex. There is a left of you and a right of you with respect to the driver. But when you say I am, even if you are here, I am. If I'm there, I am. Not affected by space, not affected by any coordinates. So this is what is called Vibhu. Then the third thing is Advaitam. So Advaitam is, there is only one Sat Swarupam. Everything else is Asat. Everything else is a copy. Advaitam. And the final one is Deva. So I was not able to complete the explanation of these, which I will do in the next class. But now you can see the content of all of these Siddhavastu, called Vibhuhu Smritaha. Devaha Turyaha Vibhuhu Smritaha. So this Turya, which is a Siddhavastu, which is you, the Swami, is defined as Nivritteh Sarva Dukkhanam. We have already understood that. Ishanaha, we have already explained that. Prabhuhu, yes. Avyayaha, Kalataha Parichinnaha. Sarva Bhavanam Advaitaha. This we have not yet explored fully. We have done in the previous classes, but not in this class. Devaha, very important, not explained. We will do that next time. Vibhuhu, explained to a certain extent. He says, Turyaha Smritaha. It is considered, defined, looked at as Turyaha. Turyaha means the fourth one. Fourth one with respect to what? All the three other states. This is not a state. It is in fact the Swarupaha, which is underlying all the states. So this is the meaning of it, and I think that I will probably spend maybe 1/3 or 1/2 of the next class in the last two, maybe even less than that. And then we will go on to the next shloka. Okay. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Very good to see you. We'll hopefully see you next week. Goodbye.